Right then, good folks, I shall begin.
Hey.
Hello, folks. Unfortunately, you might be expecting Patsy this morning, but she's unfortunately been delayed as her daughter has had to go into hospital. So, 'tis I this morning. And as you, my friends, know, I'm a great lover of poetry. I do love a bit of verse. So, I'm going to start with a few poems that I remember as a child, and then hopefully, friends, you will have some of your own which you can contribute. But start with, we have something by an old poem which I remember, which I got recited to when I was a small boy, and it's John Masefield. I must go down to the sea again, to the lonely sea in the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels click, and the wind song, and the white sails shaking, and the grey mist on the sea's face, and the grey dawn breaking. I must go down to the sea again, for the cool of the running tide, and its wild cry, and clear call that must not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day, with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray, and the brown smooth, and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the sea again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way, the whale's way, and the winds like a welting knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn, and the laugh of a fellow rover, and the quiet sleep, and the sweet dream when the long trick's over. It's something, you know, that's a part of childhood remembered, but also is many years later, Spike Milligan doing a slight skit on that. And he said, I must go down to the sea again, to the wonderful sea in the sky. I left my vest, my socks there. I wonder if they're dry. Yes, it's you know, the lovely skits of that type of thing. But another one which I got read to when I was quite young by my sweet old grandma, who was Grandma Violet was a lovely lady, very small but very fiery. And this is the one that she loved. She could say this, do this one off by heart. Sadly, I can't, so I shall read it to you. It's the village blacksmith. Under the spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and stewed hands, and muscles of his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. His hair is crisp and black and long. His face is like a tan. His brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns whatever he can. He looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not one man. Week in, week out, from morn till night, you hear his bellows blow. You can hear him swing his heavy sedge with massive beat and slow. Like a sexton ringing a village bell when the evening sun is low. The children come out home from school and look at the open door. They love to see the flaming forge and hear the bellows roar and catch the bright sparks that fly like chaff from a thrashing floor. He goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. He hears the parson pray and preach, and hears his daughter's voice, singing in the village choir and making his heart rejoice. It sounds to him like a mother's voice, singing in paradise. He needs must think of her once more, how in the grave she lies. And with his hard, rough hands he wipes tear from out of his eyes. Trolling, rejoicing, sorrowing, onwards towards the light he goes. Every morning sees some task begin, every evening sees it closed. Something attempted, something done. He's earned his night's repose. Magical things that pictures to me is kind of yeah, like that. No.
That was a Bray.
Yes,
that
yes,
was a bit too quiet for me to hear the end of sentences, especially the end of the poem.
Oh, sorry. Shall I read the last stanza?
Yes, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Tolling, rejoicing, sorrowing, onwards the life he goes. Each morning sees some task begin, each evening sees it close. Something attempted, something done. He's earned his night's repose.
Oh, it's earned his night's repose. Okay. The trouble is with English, we always go quieter and deeper at the end.
Don't we?
Thank you. That was lovely. And it's interesting how one can remember the first line and the second line, but all the middle bit's gone.
Yes, that's what you remember. The first bits, and you go, where have I heard that before? Yeah. All those types of things, you know. But now I could ask if anybody else likes to read, or I can read some more. It's up to you, my friends.
I could go and grab my poetry books, and I'll just put myself on silent.
Right, set his finding for a moment. Christina Rossetti's The Caterpillar. Brown and furry, caterpillars in a hurry, take your walk to the shadowed leaf or stalk, or whatnot, which may be the chosen spot. No toad spies you. Hovering bird of prey passes you by. Spin and die to live again as a butterfly. Lovely, eh, what? Not the sort of thing Rossetti does, but this must be her in a flippant moment.
I'm just going to see if I can grab hold of one of my poetry books. So.
Right. Seems a little disjointed at the moment. Right, Hattie, over it.
Almost any of the beat poets will do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Roger McGough's stuff. Or Roger McGough, whichever you pronounce it.
Roger McGough's Gough.
And at school, I was able to go to an arts centre not very far away. I was at boarding school. And they came and gave poetry readings. I mean, with the Barrow poets, and it's such an era it was when poetry was, I don't know, it was having a renaissance really, and people were singing to poetry and walking to it and camping to it and everything. It was lovely. And I was playing in orchestras, and especially when we played Bruckner, there were 72 bars rest. And I was determined to read my little book between pieces and, you know, get in the bars rest and count the bars wrong. Anyway, because they were so humorous. I've just opened it at My Bus Conductor, and it's actually probably a bit too long, but Roger McGough, Liverpool Beat Poets. My bus conductor. My bus conductor tells me he has only one kidney, and it may soon go on strike through overwork. Each bus ticket takes on now a different shape and texture. He holds a 9p single as if it were a rose, and puts the shilling in his bag as a child into a gas meter. His thin lips have no quips for fat factory girls, and he ignores the drunk who snores and the old man who talks to himself and gets off at the wrong stop. He goes gently to the bedroom of the bus to collect and watch familiar shops and pubs pass by, perhaps for the last time. The same old streets look different now, more distinct as through new glasses. And the sky, was it ever so blue? And all the time, deep down in the deserted bus shelter of his mind, he thinks about his journey nearly done. One day he'll clock on and never clock off, or clock off and never clock on. There's always a turn of humour.
Oh, that's McGough is jolly good. Christopher, are you ready? No.
No, I'm not.
Let me regale you with another one from my childhood, which is which is, I think, absolutely wonderful, and it's the delightful Edward Lear. He says, leaning in further. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pre-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a £5 note. The owl looked up at the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, pussy, oh, pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are, you are. What a beautiful pussy you are. The puss said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charming and sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried. What shall we do for a ring? They sailed away for a year and a day to a land where the bongo tree grew. And there in a wood, a biggy wig stood, with a ring at the end of her nose, the ring at the end of her nose. Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the pig. I will. So they took it away, and they were married next day by the turkey who lived on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a Runstable spoon. And hand in hand, on the edge of the sand, they danced to the light of the moon. They danced to the light of the moon.
Guy Congress wrote a book recently suggesting poetry to learn by heart, and that was the first that he remembered from his childhood. And even this morning I was listening to a record of a nursery rhyme, a child's favourite songs, things that have disappeared, of course. And sure enough, up came that to set to music, which I thought was difficult. But there's a poem I've come across recently which made, I took to it immediately. 40 boys on benches with their quills, 6 whole days a week through almost all the year. Long hours of Latin with relentless skills and repetition all enforced by fear. I picture Shakespeare somewhere near their back, indulging in a risky bit of fun by exercising his prodigious knack of thinking up some idiotic pun and whispering his gem to other boys, some of whom could not restrain their mirth behavior which unfailingly annoys any teacher anywhere on earth. The fun is over when the teacher spoke. Come here, Will Shakespeare. Come here and share your joke. Don't ask me why it's by that. My memory is no good for names. But there's another few lines that came to me this morning, and it's odd. I can't remember where I heard it or read it, and Google fails to provide an answer, but maybe I'm just not particularly well related to computers and just couldn't. Anyways, this is where it goes. Oh, proud, impatient man.
We've lost your son.
Seasons, growth and change require their winter, as a tired child its sleep. Thou art that child, this is the night, lie down, day follows soon. Wake then refreshed, wiser for having slept. This is old nurse's counsel and the gods, for if thou rest not, busy maggots devour thy brain, and all is dedicate to chaos. As I say, I have no idea where that came from. I think I found a reference to a book that's long out of print and I've never read anyway. Charles Morgan, I don't know whether that's the name. He was very popular apparently a long time ago, and there's one of his books, maybe The Riverline. I can't remember it, but I have to say, Google fails to answer.
To me, that turn of phrase and the concepts remind me of a man for all seasons.
I get the impression that it's a modern writer, conjuring up something from the past.
Right. You seem to have a knack for remembering poetry.
It's very odd. Poetry came to me quite suddenly. I was at university, and I'd heard this name battered around a lot. Gerard Manley Hopkins.
Oh yes,
I never recognised it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to look up.
Yes, and there is one. And in fact, I remember looking at the book, and there was a poem there immediately that I almost learned. I think I'll need to read a bit of it. Margaret, are you grieving over golden grove unleaving? Leaves like the thoughts care for, can you? Ah, as the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder by and by, nor spare a sigh, though worlds of one would leave me lie. And yet you will weep, and know why. Now, no matter, child, the name, sorrow's springs are the same, nor mouth had known, nor mind expressed what heart heard of, ghost guessed. It is the blight man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for. And, immediately I actually could remember it. It just came to me suddenly. And, I was into Manley Hopkins for a while. And then, of course, I taught, I may have explained it, I taught in my final years as a teacher. I found out what I liked, which was to teach children in the Steiner School. And every day, I had the same group of children for 8 years, 6 to 13. And every day, I was expected to teach them a song and a poem and not read them myself. And at the end of 8 years, I thought, what an immense, wonderful treasure these children had, not for me, but for the fact that they'd learned by heart some very long, substantial poems by the time they left. and it's something that, you know,
Wow.
learning poetry by heart isn't taught in schools that perhaps it once was to. Who was it? That, I think P.J. Kavanagh writes somewhere that he regretted that verse speaking wasn't a requirement anymore. That we've lost a lot by not hearing the words. You know, anyway, it's for what it's worth.
And
Wouldn't.
I went to hear Terry Waite talk about his experience of being kidnapped and held for years in Beirut. And he said his survival mode was to recite the poetry that he had learned when he was younger. This was his survival tactic.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes, well, I sat through recently an hour and a half of an MRI scan, and I'd just written, and to blind out all these dreadful noises going through my head, I just ran out of poetry at the time they finished. So I was very grateful for having this wonderful asset back traveling with me.
Amazing.
It was.
Are you ready now to survive?
Yes, I mean, I can only remember one poem from my childhood, which I think was by Robert Browning, taking the news from somewhere to somewhere.
Ghent.
Sorry?
Probably X to Ghent is what I remember.
Right, yes. Anyway, I haven't found that, but I've come back to poetry in later life, and this one's from a book called Dragonflies Have a Problem by Andrew Neil Blewett. He wrote a lot of verse, and his wife published it after he died. This one's called If. If you've been in the lair of a sore-headed bear and studied kung fu and karate, if you've struggled for life with a cannibal wife and you've been to an acid house party, if you've lived through the Blitz, clung on to your wits, and you've undergone SAS training, if you've been at Heathrow in a strike or go slow, and you've gone on your way uncomplaining, if you fought in the war, faced the Africa's corps, and outwitted Sardinian banditti, if you've scrummed at a rugger and mastered a mugger, then you're fit for the sales in the city.
Yes, that would be apologies to Kipling, wouldn't it? Really. Again. Another one.
What, me?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, well, this is a poem called Help. It's much shorter than the other one. Carrot flies live on carrots. Parrot flies live on parrots. Dragonflies have a problem.
Yes,
That's the kind of
very
wit
good,
I like.
Yeah, that's what was it? Fruit flies love a banana. And I'll come back to that one in a minute because I've forgotten it. It was
It's time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana.
that's the one. That's the one. Well done, David. Thank you very much, David. Right. Did you have anything at the moment, Rosie, or shall I continue? Righto. I only come across this a little while ago, but I thought it was rather funny. It was by Milosevic Ulov, who I've never heard of. It's called Napoleon. Children, when was Napoleon born? Asked the teacher. 1,000 years ago, said the children. 100 years ago, said the children. Nobody knows. Children, what did Napoleon Bonaparte do? Asked the teacher. He won a war, said the children. He lost a war. Nobody knows. Our butcher used to have a dog, said Frankie. His name was Napoleon. And the butcher used to beat him, and the dog died of hunger a year ago. Now, all the children feel sorry for Napoleon. Very easily, but I liked it. The Robert Graves. Children born of fairy stock never need for shirt or frock, never want the food or fire, always get their heart's desire. Jingle pockets full of gold, marry when they're 7 years old. Every fairy child must keep 2 strong ponies and 10 sheep. All their houses each of ye owns, built of brick and granite stone. They live on cherries and they run wild. I'd love to be a fairy child. That's Robert Graves,
Lovely.
who usually does much more serious poetry than that.
I'm looking through my book of beat poets, and I've got quite a few page corners turned down from the past. Allen Ginsberg.
Give us a few.
Someone called Paul Carroll. Philip Whale. I'll read you this one. Philip Whalen. Plus ça change. What are you doing? I'm coldly calculating. I didn't ask for a characterization. Tell me what you're going to do. That's what I'm coldly calculating. You'd better say plotting or scheming. You never could calculate without a machine. Then I'm brooding. Presently, a plot will hatch. Who are you trying to kid? Be nice.
Yeah.
Jack Kerouac.
Ooh.
231st chorus. Dead and don't know it, living and do. The living have a dead idea. A person is a living idea. After death, a dead idea. The idea of living is the same as the idea of death. The dead have a living idea. Dead, it ain't my fault. I was only an idea. Respected penitents in a shack dedicated to the study of origin. The good Buddha material is not a sin cloth, cloth of light. Beings alive indicate death by their jaunty work, just as the dead indicate the living by their silence. When rock becomes air, I will be there. I guess he'd heard of molecules.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got another one here. If you're,
We're waiting.
yeah, it's his age, you know. As a boy, I succumbed to the customary brew of measles and mumps with an itis or two, and the doctor, enlisting his knowledge and skill, would declare it's his age and send in his bill. My behaviour in youth was imperfect or worse, and if I was truculent, pert or perverse, my relations would echo that medical mot, and especially aunts, it's his age, don't you know? They may have been right that my years were to blame, but now an adult it can't be the same. Yet my aunt still assert with the age of a sage that the key to my conduct lies still in my age. When a lady pursued me with love in her eyes, or was I the pursuer, the lady the prize? I'm afraid I've forgotten, my memory is poor, but my age was the reason, Aunt Fanny was sure. We married in winter and parted in spring, and what else but my age could have caused such a thing? And when later my passions I sought to revive, that was common, they said, when you've reached 35. I published a sequence of sonnets on fate and achieved some distinction, admittedly late, but my relations refused to applaud my success. At 40, they said they expected no less. The doctor who spoke with the mien of a sphinx of disorders and age and their mystical links returned to his theme when he diagnosed gout. Oh, it's Anno and Domini, never a doubt. I remarried at 50. My bride was 19, and she wondered if anyone could have foreseen I'd have chosen a partner so young and so shy. My relations, I said, and they'll soon tell you why. I'm sure I shan't know when I take my last breath what the doctor will write as the cause of my death, but if there's a doubt and my aunts get to hear, they'll very soon make it abundantly clear. This postscript is sent from the heavenly gate, where I met with St. Peter's on being the late. When I said he looked shrunk, and he answered me so, it cometh with age, as thou shouldest know.
Yes, it's his age, don't you know? Here's one I got read to quite often because it was supposed to be a very big poet of this time. And you probably all remember it. It's by a chap called Robert Frost. Stopping by woods on a snowy evening. I can see someone else. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the valley below. He will see me stopping here. Oh, apologize. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of that year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there was some mistake. The only other sound that sweeps was the east wind and the downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. The last stanza, I think, is the most famous, but I think it evocates that type of thing, that Frost is trying to tell us. But I wait for others at the moment, if anyone wants to continue.
One writer I have always great respect for, and he's sometimes written down, but is Kipling. Kipling, I think, is a magnificent writer. And
like a good kibble.
Although he'd got his prejudices from the time, that poem by Recessional, I think, is deeply profound, written at a time when Britain was at its greatest. And he wrote this, lest we forget. But the one that comes to my mind immediately is one I did teach the children when we were dealing with subject, and that's Mithras. I think I can remember most of it. Mithras, you know, Mithras is Roman god. Mithras, gosh, Mithras, god of the morning. God. Mithras, god of the morning, our trumpets waken the wall. Rome is above all nations, but thou art over all. Now, when the names are answered and the gods are marched away, Mithras, also a soldier, give us our strength for the day. Mithras, god of the noontide, the heather swims in the heat. Our helmets scorch our forehead, our sandals burn our feet. Now, in the ungirt hour, now lest we blink or drowse. Mithras, god of the sun, god of the noontide, keep us safe to our vows. Sure. Mithras, god of the sunset, low in the western main, thou descending immortal, immortal to rise again. Now when the watch is ended, now when the wine is drawn, Mithras, also a soldier, keep us pure till dawn. Mithras, god of the midnight, now when here where the black bull dies. Mithras, many roads have Mithras, god of the midnight, here where the black bull dies. Look on thy children in darkness, oh, hear our sacrifice. Many roads hast thou fashioned, all of them lead to the light. Mithras, also a soldier, teach us to die aright. That's typical of so much of what he wrote.
Very powerful piece.
Well, yeah.
There we go. Ooh. The bat. By the day, the bat is cousin to the mouse. He likes the attic of the aging house. His fingers make a hat above his head. His pulse beats so slowly, we think him dead. He loops in crazy figures half the night among the trees that face the corner light. But when he brushes up against the screen, we're afraid of what our eyes have seen. For something is amiss or out of place when mice with wings can wear a human face. It's very true about bats. You know, there's something about them which we, as you know, kind of still mystically fear. So kind of nearly the things about death and all that lot, and was most engaged by Edgar Allan Poe in a lot of his poems. He would have the bats and other things like that, you know, coming to get you. Really, 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 really quite amazed about that. But something to cheer you up a little bit. A couple by that wonderful American called Ogden Nash. The parsnip. The parsnip's children, I repeat, is simply an anemic beet. Some people like to call the parsnip edible. Me, myself, I find this claim incredible. They call me challenged me to eat a tiny bit of rattlesnake meat, remarking, "Don't look so horror-struck. You'll find it tastes a lot like chicken." It did. Now chicken I cannot eat, because it tastes like rattlesnake meat. Lovely.
Who
Alton
wrote
Nash.
these? Ray, who wrote those?
That's Alton Nash.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Quite humorist.
Oh, yes, he's a jolly chap. Um, who doesn't like mice?
That's all right.
Well, Rosie Feynman said that she liked mice. I think mice are rather nice. Their tails are long, their faces small, they haven't any chins at all. Their ears are pink, their teeth are white. They run about the house at night and nibble things they shouldn't touch, and no one seems to like them much. I think mice nice. That's absolutely. I find that just absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
But where did I put that one there? Oh yes. I have discovered a new poet, who I think is absolutely wonderful. And as soon as I've just discovered her, I will read a couple of you, two of you, because I'm like that. I'm enthusiastic like that. So she's called Rachel Field.
Ah, Rachel Field.
You have come across her? Right. Well, I like her. She's my new favorite poet. Some people, isn't it strange? Some people make you feel so tired inside, your thoughts begin to shrivel up like leaves, all brown and dried. But when you're with some others, it's strange still to find your thoughts are thick as fireflies, all shiny in your mind. I know I should be more Quakerly and say I like all people, but I know what she's talking about there.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. It's capturing a very a little moment that repeats itself so often, and one forgets. Well, no, one doesn't forget, but especially, I suppose, COVID taught us about this kind of sparkliness of other people's contact, and yeah.
Something told the wild geese is the next one.
Oh,
Some told, T-O-L-D.
yes.
Something told the wild geese it's time to go. Though the fields are golden, something whispered, snow. Leaves are bright and stirring, berries lushly glossing, but beneath warm feathers, something cautioned, frost. All staggering orchards steaming with amber spice, but each wild beast stiffens at remembering ice. Something told the wild geese it's time to fly. Summer sun was on their wings, winter in their cry. Yeah, she's my the type of poet. And just one last one from her, which you probably because Rachel Field is an American, and this comes across very much as kind of an American thing. It's called General Store. Someday I'm going to have a store with a tinkly bell hung over the door, with real glass cases and counters wide, and drawers all spilling with things inside. There'll be a little of everything. Bolts of calico, balls of string, jars of peppermint, tins of tea, pots and kettles and crockery, seeds in packets, scissors bright, cakes of sugar, brown and white, sarsaparilla for picnic lunches, bananas and rubber boots in bunches. I'll fix a window, dust the shelf, take the money in all myself. It'll be my store, and I will say, what can I do for you today? Isn't that lovely? It's Rachel in playful mood, but that is my lot for today for you. But has anybody got anything else that they can present to us at the moment?
I've got a short one, but I think Rosie should put her fingers in her ears. I don't find it suitable. Yeah. It's called The Marriage Bond. Too late have wedded couples found, inclining to repentance, that marriage isn't just a word, it's rather more, a sentence.
Oh, very good, very good.
Is that it?
Brilliant.
Rosaline, have you got any? And I'm wondering, we keep reading poems by guys, except for Rachel Field and one or two others, but majority we're focusing on our men's poems. Maybe it's because they're printed more, I don't know, from the past, obviously.
Yeah, very much so, yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering about Sylvia Plath. I mean, it's pretty grim, but she was a great image maker. Lady Lazarus is quite well known by her. I mean, you know a bit about her. She only died when she was 31. She got married to Ted Hughes, and I think she was very nervous and yeah, it looks like she had overriding obsessions in a state of extreme neurotic excitement. These poems are almost without parallel in the English language. Poetry of this order is a murderous art. I mean, it was pretty miserable. And she attempted suicide several times. I've done it again. 1 year in every 10, I manage it. A sort of walking miracle, my skin as bright as a Nazi lampshade, my right foot a paperweight, my face a featureless fine Jew linen. Peel off the napkin, oh my enemy, it's the full set of teeth. The sour breath will vanish in a day. Soon, soon, the flesh, the grave, cave, 8 will be at home on me. And I, a smiling woman, I am only 30, and like the cat, I have 9 times to die. This is number 3. What a trash to annihilate each decade. What a million filaments the peanut crunching crowd shoves in to see them unwrap my hand and foot, the big strip tease. Gentlemen, ladies, these are my hands, my knees. I may be skin and bone. Nevertheless, I am the same identical woman. The first time it happened, I was 10. It was an accident. The second time, I meant to last it out and not come back at all. I rocked, shut as a seashell. They had to call and pick the worms off me like sticky pearls. Dying is an art, like everything else. I do it exceptionally well. I do it so it feels like hell. I do it so it feels real. I guess you could say I've a call. It's easy enough to do it in a cell. It's easy enough to do it and stay put. It's the theatrical. Come back in broad day to the same place, the same face, the same brute, amused shout, a miracle! That knocks me out. There is a charge for the eyeing of my scars. There is a charge for the hearing of my heart. It really goes. And there is a charge, a very large charge, for a word or a touch or a bit of blood or a piece of my hair or my clothes. So, Herr Doctor, so, Herr Enemy, I am your opus. I am your valuable, the pure gold baby that melts to a streak. I turn and burn. Do not think I underestimate your great concern. Ash, ash, you poke and stir, flesh, bone, there is nothing there. A cake of soap, a wedding ring, a gold filling. Herr God, Herr Lucifer, beware, beware. Out of the ash I rise with my red hair, and I eat men like air.
Wow.
Right, that was really, really quite powerful stuff.
Lovely.
I had
No.
no idea it was going to Herr Doctor and Ash. Wow. And of course, I mean, presumably she had some Jewish background.
Yes, that's right. Well, Rosie.
I found a poem that we did at school, The Wild Swans at Cool by W.B. Yeats. So I thought I could read that.
Carry on.
The trees are in their autumn beauty. The woodland paths are dry. Under the October twilight, the water mirrors a still sky. Upon the brimming water, among the stones, are 59 swans. The 19th autumn has come upon me since I first made my count. I saw before I had well finished, all suddenly mount and scatter wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. I have looked upon those brilliant creatures, and now my heart is sore. All changed since I, hearing at twilight, the first time on this shore, the bell beat of their wings above my head, trod with a lighter tread. Unwearied still, lover by lover, they paddle in the cold, companionable streams or climb the air. Their hearts have not grown old. Passion or conquest, wonder where they will attend upon them still. But now they drift on the still water, mysterious, beautiful. Among what rushes will they build? But what lake's edge or pool delights men's eyes when I awake someday to find the day they have flown away?
Oh,
Thank you. Right, my friends.
Lovely.
That is us for today, I think.
Oh,
Thank you.
time has flown.
Sadly.
Right.
And I can't resist doing a quick Ognard Nash. God in his wisdom invented the fly and then forgot to tell us why. Right. Next week, we have Patsy, who is going to do one of the
Interviews.
occasional interviews. And this one is a friend we haven't seen for a while. This is Shan Rhiannon, who, if you went to Central Meeting, you would know who we mean. But if not, it'd be an interesting time for you to meet this wonderful friend.
Yes.
So I will say au revoir and see you next week.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.